Greetings. I say that every week, but I like that word, greetings. Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Progressive Discussions. This is Progressive Discussions, otherwise I wouldn't be saying it. I am your host, James P. Madonna of Mega Life 21, the hardest hitting internet talk radio station on the planet, and I'm here with my co-host and mentor, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman, and we happen to be at the Newsletter Censored Research Center in northeastern New Jersey. How are you today, sir?
Fine.
It's getting a little chilly again.
Brr.
It was unseasonably warm here. It happens to be Saturday, December 17th.
That's it.
2011.
All day long.
That's right, 24 hours. You know, it's funny. People are usually much happier Fridays and the weekend than they are, let's say, Monday, Tuesday. Unless you're rich, then every day has 24 hours and any day can be happy. You know, something to think about.
So you're saying money has something to do with happiness?
Well, every day is...
Or just survival?
Listen, you know how people cry that, oh, the weekend is rained out. Oh, this sucks. How come the weather's so great when we go back to work on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and the weekend's rained out? Well, if you're wealthy, and Monday is clear and dry as a bell and sunny as hell. I didn't mean that to rhyme, but then it's like it's not an issue that, oh, boo-hoo, it's Monday and the weather's perfect.
Well, could it be
because you can do anything you want when you got bucks, right?
Could it be that people feel that they've slaved away for the 5 days, and
True.
The weekend comes and they bust loose, man? They're free from the grind, and they can go out and have some fun.
You mean from working for the man?
For the man,
the evil, greedy, blood-sucking fat cat that's probably not paying him or her fair share in taxes.
Working for the company store.
This is my prop, or should I say me prop. This is an imported Blackthorn Irish Shillelagh, imported from Ireland. Okay, there are political reasons for this prop, since the English oppressed the Irish for centuries, and they represent the fat cats oppressing the 99%ers in the United States. But I also like the way it looks. It's shiny, and it's like it's like a gavel, and it helps me emphasize certain things. Okay, I just want to say that every year this time, I see commercials with Mr. Joe Kennedy, and I assume he's one of the Kennedy family members because he looks like a Kennedy. Joe Kennedy does an advertisement for Citgo Oil Company and the people of Venezuela, because supposedly Hugo Chavez and the people of Venezuela, or I should say the Venezuelan government, has been donating petroleum products, oil, for home heating for the poor, that the United States government don't give a shit about, that the conservatives in Washington don't care if poor people in America freeze. Well, I want to salute Joe Kennedy, but even more, I want to salute the government of Venezuela for being compassionate enough to do this every year. And is this the same deal when did Chavez offer Hurricane Katrina victims assistance and G.W. Bush refused him? Did that happen back then?
I believe it did.
Yeah. It's a pattern here.
Yeah, there's a pattern.
I think
don't help the poor.
I think Castro.
It causes them to be a disincentive, so they won't go to work for slave wages.
You mean so they won't live in the woods in a tent and eat tree bark and chew on leaves? Yeah, I mean, come on, go to work. There's no jobs. Listen, this is just an excuse not to help the poor. But they won't take help from Castro or Hugo Chavez. No, that's no good. They're willing to help the poor people. Because you know what? They're afraid maybe that a socialist government might make the United States government, the capitalist government, look bad. Do you think so?
That's why they destroyed Cuba. they could never allow and the Soviet Union. I mean, how do you think the Soviet Union was brought down? It was brought down economically.
Economically.
That's right.
All right. Now, you know, in the past I've done shows discussing how the American healthcare system sucks, and it really does suck.
It's not a healthcare system. It's a disease care system.
Right. All right. Now, listen to this. There's a clinic in the New York, well, the New Jersey area called. It's a clinic. Somebody was kind and compassionate enough to create it. It's a clinic for low-income people and poor people who do not have or cannot afford health insurance.
Oh boy!
Now, and people that may or may not have a Medicaid card. In other words, they might be too poor to have health insurance, but too wealthy to have a Medicaid card. It's more or less. So they come here. It's called North Hudson Community Action Corporation. But guess what I found out? Even though a poor person can see a doctor or a dentist, or a woman can see a gynecologist, or whatever, doctor of internal medicine, even though they can go there and, you know, if they see the doctor of internal medicine and they're poor, they might have a payment of only like $20 a visit, which is not bad. And then if they want to save money, they could go to, let's say, Target Pharmacy, who happens to have right now the lowest generic prescription drug prices. Okay, so far, unless Walmart beats them out someday. Well, guess what, Bill, Dr. Bill? If you go to the internist and you see the affordable doctor, they don't have the same plan. They don't have the same sliding scale income plan for the lab. So if you go, there's 2 days a week where they have lab, where they draw blood. So if the doctor says we need to take a blood test, and okay, you saw an affordable doctor of internal medicine, you take the prescription, you go back to North Hudson Community Action Corporation to the lab, let's say on a Wednesday. No, you got to pay, if you don't have health insurance, you have to pay full price for the blood test. Now, how the hell is somebody who can't afford to see a regular doctor, who doesn't have health insurance, or possibly not even a Medicaid card, how are they going to afford to pay full price for the blood test? Isn't that very contradictory?
It's very stupid, because it's the same thing in law. You have poor people being fined, which makes no sense at all. They're poor, they don't have any money, what are you fining them for? And then you have the rich. Of course, we just had it the other day with the SEC, fining the big companies and banks that cause problems. No, don't fine them. Put them in jail. Put them in jail.
They broke the law.
They broke the law. They belong.
What about
They're just interested in fining?
What about the politicians that have been doing inside trading, inside stock trading?
Put them in jail.
It's a crime, isn't it?
Not for them. They can change the law.
Well, you know what? I was thinking, you know, every time the local news people take a political poll and they stick a microphone in a person's face that's on the street, you get different opinions. Now, of course, if you interview a mainstream, a low-income person, or somebody who's middle class that got laid off, of course, you're going to get one opinion. But every time they interview somebody in a suit and tie that obviously may still have a good job or may have bucks, they always say, oh, we need to elect somebody who's qualified to run the state or to be a congressman or senator or run the country. Oh, it should be somebody with a political background and a college degree, a lawyer. Oh, you know what that means? Business as usual, because even though the lawyer who is a career politician, even though they know the law very well, Dr. Bill, isn't it true that they can also manipulate the law very well?
They can change it.
And change it, ill-gotten gains?
Yeah.
To their advantage?
They've done that. That's why we got in the financial problem that we got in.
But News 12 New Jersey loves to kiss the ass of Chris Christie and kiss the ass of people with money. And corporations. Always kissing corporate ass. That seems to be whatever happened to the so-called mythical liberal media that they used to talk about?
Never existed.
Yeah. Now, I want to say hi to a good old friend of mine that I knew when I was in my early 20s, when I used to go out to dance clubs during the golden age of disco. He was the head of security at the Players Club. May it rest in peace. It was a big hot spot in Hackensack, New Jersey. Mr. Nick Stefano. I have reunited with Mr. Nick Stefano, former New Jersey powerlifting champion and good friend of pro wrestler Jimmy Powers. And I would like to say hi. He lives in Wantage, New Jersey, and he is an expert meteorologist. His hobby is meteorology, the weather. He's always been captivated by the weather. And I want to say hi to Nick Stefano. Nick Stefano had some words of wisdom, like Confucius. I told him that, you know, the Wizard Azibuko, our co-worker, has done shows called the pussification of the American male. We're talking about ass kissers who desperately want to win approval of hot-looking chicks so they can get in their pants. So they're pretty much, yes, dear, anything you say there. They're ass kissers, like some people we know. You know, chucho, as we say in Italian, donkeys. So, hold on.
Hey!
There's all kinds of ass kissers. There's corporate ass kissers, you know, but these are social ass kissers. They desperately need approval of the girls. So if the girl says, I don't like your car, they change the car. I don't like your clothes, do this, do that, do this. They kiss ass. So Nick Stefano had very wise, he said there's an old saying from the streets. And listen to this. It's beautiful. Never heard it before. A female pubic hair can pull a train. Which I guess means that a woman's femininity, or if she's attractive, she has a lot of power over a lot of men. I guess that's what it means. But that's cute, isn't it?
Or a train.
Or a train? No. A woman's pubic hair can pull a train. That's beautiful. Very appropriate, Nick Stefano. Salute. Hey. Now, I want to talk about, lately in the news, American-born, Latin people have been harassed and abused by the police in Los Angeles and other parts of California. Recently, Los Angeles Police Department members, LAPD, wanted to deport a Latin man, a Mexican-American man who had legal papers, that was born in the United States, that happened to have a heavy accent, wanted to deport him, did not care about his legal papers. And then this is not counting the physical abuse, police brutality by, and this is from the Latin news, because the American news media doesn't discuss this. It seems to me, and physical abuse of people of color, Latin Americans that are American citizens, that just happen to have tanned or brown skin and happen to look Latino, or happen to have an accent, abuse by American police officers. So it seems to me, Dr. Bill, that every time the conservative Republicans control Washington, it seems like all this racism just comes out of the woodwork. Isn't it weird, or is it my imagination, or is there a correlation between this recent racism against Latin Americans that are American citizens and the fact that the Congress is controlled by Republicans, and in the Senate they cannot filibuster the Congress, so therefore the Republicans pretty much are calling the shots, right? More or less.
The Republicans can filibuster in the Senate.
Yes, that's what I meant.
If they don't like something, they can call the shots.
Now, what about this? Have you heard this on the news? There's been a lot in American media of all this racism towards
Republicans have been racist for a long time.
Little noise here, so you know.
Republicans have been racist for a long time. It's nothing new.
But this police brutality and racial profiling towards Latin Americans that have legal papers, this has been on the news quite often lately.
Well, get yourself back to the 60s and Martin Luther King.
Malcolm X.
They were black people.
Well, Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, Dr. Martin Luther King, the Reverend Doctor, they said a lot of truths back then. Both of them said a lot of things that were true.
Of course, but I'm saying, who do you think put those laws into effect? The Jim Crow laws against blacks at that time.
Right. Well, I guess it's coming. They're trying to bring it back now that the Republicans have control over Washington.
Well, they're trying also to disenfranchise brown, black people from voting. They want poor people to go and get IDs.
Really?
Yeah.
Based on your looks, on your appearance?
Whatever it's based on, they just want you to get an ID before you can vote.
So that means I would have to flash an ID?
Well,
which means I have to have
those people would have to have, they have to pay money. It's a poll tax.
A fee?
A fee to get the ID and stand in the motor vehicle line for how long?
Oh, really? Do you know a lot of people would say, fuck you, I'm not going to stand at one motor vehicle line, I won't vote? You know how many Americans will say that?
Oh, they'll say it, but I'm saying, if they put a law in effect, that's what they're going to do.
So I, James P. Madonna, born in Paterson, New Jersey, raised in northeastern New Jersey, would have to stand in a long line at the DMV, pay a fee, to get another plastic card to bulk up my wallet.
You have a driver's license.
Just to vote. Yeah, I have a digital driver's license, photo.
That's okay.
All right.
These are for people who don't have that. They have to get a special ID.
Yeah, you can get a digital photo ID, excuse me, at the DMV if you do not have a digital driver's license. Oh, I know about that.
But in the old days, down in the South, they charged the black people a poll tax, money, so they couldn't vote.
So then the blacks won't vote
because they didn't have the money.
And the scumbag would win in the polls in the elections. Sounds like a little Jebby Bush finagling with the Florida voting.
And Catherine Harris.
When Al Gore ran against G.W. Bush, huh?
Yeah.
Catherine Harris.
Yeah.
Now, I want to talk about Hulk Hogan. Look, Hulk Hogan has been in the news because his ex-wife wrote a book and said very derogatory things about him. But listen, Hulk Hogan is no angel because I'm defending Hulk Hogan at the end of the story. Hulk Hogan, I want to begin by saying he's no angel. That whole thing about training and saying your prayers and eating your vitamins, that was part of his gimmick. Hulk Hogan indulged in recreational drugs, anabolic steroids, and he had affairs. You know, he cheated on his wife, but you know, a lot of people in professional sports or musicians that travel all the time, unfortunately, they get sucked into that deal and they're seduced by groupies and blah, blah, blah. And I hate to say it, I don't know. I guess the temptation overwhelms them, but Hulk Hogan was accused by his ex-wife in the book of being bisexual and having a homosexual affair. From what I was told, with Brutus the Barber Beefcake. Now, I have met and spoke to Brutus Beefcake several times through my friendship with pro wrestler Andrew Anderson. They're good friends. Andrew Anderson thinks the world of Brutus Beefcake. I thought he was a very nice guy, very friendly. And you know what? I saw a rerun of the old show, the old reality show where Hulk Hogan did the reality show with his now ex-wife and his daughter, his kids. Let me tell you something. I felt sorry for Hulk Hogan. His ex-wife was a total control freak and a bitch. All she wanted to do was change him. She says, we got to get rid of your wardrobe. We got to get you new clothes. Hulk Hogan likes the baggy genie pants that men worked out with in the gym back in the 80s. He likes them. He likes the fanny pack. She wanted him, she was nagging him for him to get rid of all his 80s clothes, all his workout pants, throw away the fanny pack.
What about the mustache?
She wanted, no, but she wanted to change Hulk Hogan and totally get rid of everything he loved. And she says, we got to take you to do clothes shopping. And she wanted him to carry this purse, to get this designer purse for men, and all this high fashion shit. You know, he's not into that. And he was, you could see the man was getting stressed out because she kept on telling him what to do, nagging him to no end. The daughter was very nice and quiet. And what a bitch. Oh, I felt so sorry for Hulk Hogan, man. But anyway, I guess he has like some kind of lawsuit against her now for the derogatory statements made in the book. Now, to the last thing I want to mention, and in order for me to properly do it, I have to get my slide whistle. Well, actually, before I get my slide whistle, I just want to show you people something real quick. This represents the sleaze of capitalism. You see, I get this thing in the mail. I know I showed you before. It looks like a government check, right?
Yeah.
Dr. Bill?
Looks like a Social Security check.
Right. You see it? Is it in the camera? Okay. Guess what it is?
Yeah. Bring it down a little bit.
Okay, got it?
Okay.
Guess what it is? It happens to be an advertisement from a car dealer. Some of the sleaziest businesses known to America. Like, you know, there's nothing sleazier than like a furniture store or a car dealer advertisement. Sleazy car dealers, all right, snake oil salesmen, liars for hire. This is how they're sending advertisements now, to look like a government check with the Statue of Liberty. It looks, at a quick glance, it looks like a Social Security check to get you to pay attention to their mail. Unbelievable. And it says a check for $29,995 paid to the order of me, and it's phony. It's from Toyota Universe at 1485, that's 1485 Route 46 East, Little Falls, New Jersey, 07424. Toyota Universe. This is how they get your attention, folks.
Does that pay for the whole car?
No, it's not a real check.
No,
my mother, gullible as she is, thought it was real.
No, I mean the price of the car. I mean, is it like only such a certain amount toward a more expensive car?
No, you know what look what it says down here. Of course, it opens up.
That should pay for the whole car.
It says you've been pre-qualified for financing.
Contact. Give me a check.
Contact Robert Waldo. Yeah, Waldo. Right. Personal. It's got a personal code. It's talk about fine print. This is not fine print. This is obvious. But that's how they're getting your attention now. Make it look like a legitimate government check with a whopping sum on it. So the average person, especially the stupid people, they're like, oh, yippee! Oh, the government sent me a friggin' $30,000 check. It's so funny. I'll just leave it there. All right, now back to the slide whistle. Back to the slide whistle. Oh gosh, you're probably wondering why I'm saying back to the slide whistle. But Billy knows.
Well, we didn't get there yet.
I don't need my reading glasses anymore. Why am I blowing a slide whistle?
Here comes Palin.
It has to do with Bubblehead, Michelle Bubblehead Bachmann.
Uh-oh.
And of course I put her in the same barn as Sarah Nayland Palin, because they are political morons. Michelle Bachmann, when they talk, all I hear is a slide whistle, because their voice goes high pitched, it comes down, it goes up and down, and they have no intelligence. She's pissed off at the slimy salamander, Newt, the Gingrich that stole Christmas. She's pissed at Newt Gingrich because Newt Gingrich said that she doesn't have her facts straight and she doesn't know anything. She's not accurate, and she's been wrong many times in many statements. Well, you know what? As much as I can't stand Newt Gingrich is right. Michelle Bachmann often does not have her facts straight. She's been wrong many times, especially with American history and in fine detail about facts. And she said something that really made me laugh, but made me very angry. And I'll tell you what she said, Dr. Bill. She made a statement. Excuse me, I need this. She made a statement, and she said out loud with her stupid voice to everybody. It's a campaign trail, of course, in one of the states. She says, now, wasn't America much better off 4 years ago before Barack Obama took office than it is today after four years of Barack Obama? Weren't we better off? What a stupid thing to say, that we were better off under G.W. Bush after all the damage that the Bush-Cheney administration did after 8 years, that we were better off. Well, listen, the reason why things are horrible now is because you stupid lemmings in America voted in a Republican Congress last November. And you believe the Tea Party lies, the propaganda. That's why things are better off, because Obama's bucking heads with so many Republicans. I mean, to say that this country was better off compared to any other politician having G.W. Bush at the helm is a stupid thing to say. It is the most inaccurate thing she's ever said.
Well, they're trying to do away with the facts of 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
When Barack Obama wasn't even a fly on the wall.
Fly in the ointment?
Yeah, whatever. You know, I mean, they're trying to make him own the economy today.
They're trying
as if he was the president at the time of the meltdown.
So they're trying to pin the entire meltdown and the entire deficit and everything on the Democratic President Barack Obama.
Right.
When in actuality, we have a revenue-raising problem, not a spending problem, because the rich have not paid taxes.
For the last 30 years.
Yeah, and look, what about G.W. Bush spending over $1 trillion in the Iraqi war, where Osama bin Laden wasn't, or Al Qaeda wasn't there? And what about the trillions? Trillions or over $1 trillion? The Wall Street bailouts. Like a lot of money.
There are many figures for the Wall Street bailout, but it's definitely way over $23 trillion.
So if you go back in a time capsule and you eliminate the Wall Street bailout, and they do not deserve a bailout, by the way, because small companies will very easily take the place of the fat cats when the fat cats shoot themselves in the foot. Okay, if you take away the 20 some odd $trillion and you take away the Iraqi war waste, and you trim the military budget down to what, you trim the waste off the military budget. Now, would we be in this pickle now?
No.
The deficit.
Back in the day, Donald Rumsfeld actually came out and said the Pentagon could not account for, and the figure moves around there too, 23 or 27, 2.3 or 2.7 trillion dollars. They can't account for it.
Right.
And that was back then.
Right.
So they don't account for the money it's a black hole. The Pentagon is a black hole. It is only there to help out the contractors, the private contractors, Boeing, Northrop Grumman, Grumman, yeah, and all of those. They produce weapons we don't need. They produce weapons that are already obsolete when they're done. Hey, the hijackers had box cutters.
Yeah, they didn't even have...
Hey, bring my tank around
They
there.
didn't even have shillelaghs.
You got a box cutter. Bring my tank. I want to blow them out of the water.
Crude, primitive shillelagh would have smashed the box cutter and smashed the skulls of every hijacker on that plane very easily. I just barely tapped myself last Saturday and I hurt my head. Could you imagine if I whaled this thing, busted the hand, busted the box cutter, and then caved in the skull of the hijacker, and then went to the other jabroni with the box cutter?
Yeah.
Forget it, man. Oh, me gold, me gold. But this is the point.
It's all wrong. It's all wrong.
This is the point. It's waste, waste, waste. And the Democrats, the progressives, whatever you want to call them, did not do any of it, are not responsible. But if you listen to the Tea Party lies, the conservative propaganda, you would be suckered in. And, of course, they voted for a Republican Congress last November. And now the fate of the U.S. is sealed. Bible prophecy is correct once again. And here we go. We're in the end times. Anyway, first article.
Days in the laboratory are numbered for chimpanzees,
I hate them.
humans' closest relative.
And very nasty, dangerous, temperamental animals.
Chimps paved astronauts' way into space and were used in creating some important medicines, but the government said Thursday that science has advanced enough. From now on, chimpanzees essentially should be a last resort in medical research, a move that puts the United States more in line with the rest of the world. Chimps, similarly with people, demand special consideration and respect, said Dr. Francis Collins, director of the National Institutes of Health. His move came after the prestigious Institute of Medicine declared that most use of chimpanzees for invasive medical research no longer can be justified, and that strict new limits should determine which experiments are important enough to outweigh the moral cost of involving this species that is so like us. The bar is very high, said bioethicist Jeffrey Kahn of Johns Hopkins University. The group stopped short of recommending an outright ban, saying a handful of research projects today might still require chimps, but more important, that the animals might be required in the future as new diseases evolve and emerge. Animal welfare groups welcomed the change, but will continue to push for Congress to go a step further and phase out all invasive chimp research.
Use rats. Guinea pigs, rats, whatever. You know.
Well, hey, a lot of that research with animals is probably not even necessary. What about the cosmetic stuff?
That's not fair to
Putting stuff in the rabbit's eyes.
to torture and kill and make sick an animal for profit, for big business, for the cosmetic industry. If it's important medical research that's absolutely necessary to do on an animal, I mean not an advanced animal, but you know, sort of a stupid primitive animal, and it's going to save human lives, you know, and you got to do it, yeah, but not for the sake of big business making a profit. You know, it's bad enough they put drugs to market that shouldn't be out there for humans, you know, a little too quickly. The FDA approves it, you know. What else you got?
Congress passed a massive $662 billion defense bill Thursday. Oh. After months of wrangling. That's not the true number. The true number is around 1.4 trillion.
Did they trim the defense bill?
No. They passed a bigger one from last year.
There you go. The Republicans did it again.
Well, I put it in, what was it, last issue? I believe it was last issue. It shows the amounts that are spent by the other countries. Now, we were spending at that time some 500 and some billion dollars a year. Our nearest competitor was Japan, spending somewhere around 30-something billion dollars a year.
Oh, Japan.
And China is even down the list.
Japan got the go-ahead that they can develop their own military?
After World War II, Mr. Churchill
Yeah.
and Mr. FDR
Yeah.
got together, and Mr. Stalin
Right.
got together and proclaimed that Germany and Japan would never be allowed to militarize again in this world.
Never is a big word.
Guess what? They are both militarized today.
Well, look how many years have gone by since World War II. Give me a break. You know, they're individual countries. They have a right to govern themselves.
But we don't want them arming again so that they can cause problems in the world again.
Well, what about the rise in power of communist China? Isn't Japan, being that Japan is such a successful capitalist country,
Not any longer.
wouldn't that the yen is going
They
down?
went down the tubes for 10 years.
Japan?
Yeah.
How about the price of the yen? Is that going down? The monetary.
I don't know what it is, but that doesn't mean anything as far as the economy is concerned.
I think they better worry more about China than Japan.
I just told you that China doesn't even spend as much as Japan.
Because China is not stupid enough to waste, and there's no war profiteering going on with that government.
Yeah.
It's probably run properly.
Well, who knows? It's run by the communists. But it's our buddy. But we weren't buddies with the Soviet Union or Cuba.
Yeah,
But we're real big buddies with China.
Now Moscow is one of the most expensive cities in the world since the capitalists
Took over the mafioso there.
took over Russia. So everything cost a fortune there, and gee, where is that going to leave the average Russian when it comes to cost of living?
Same as it is with the the average person in the United States.
Yeah, everybody living in tents eventually.
That's correct. So that they will be willing to work for slave labor, slave wages. That's what it's all about.
The CEOs of all the companies that want the people to work for slave wages.
You can't do what you just said to them if you don't stop purchasing their products and hurt them in the wallet.
Boycott.
Make them go out of business.
I'm not worried about. I don't have a problem with foreign companies. I have a problem with American companies because of their
attitude. There aren't too many
attitude.
American companies anymore.
Because of their attitude, huh?
There aren't too many American companies anymore.
Well,
we lost 23,000 manufacturing factories or something somewhere since 2000.
Well, who then? What about
Made in America? Is a vanishing breed.
Well, who? Well, there's got to be some people in the 1% that's not paying their taxes in the United States. There has to be some people that are not paying.
Well, there's a lot of people not paying.
Aren't there corporate headquarters still in the United States?
No, they're in the Cayman Islands.
But who runs?
They're in Luxembourg.
But who owns it? Who runs them? Where the?
It's not running. It's a mailbox.
But who collects the profit that makes the stocks go up? The shareholders.
Well, the profits are if they're in other countries, they're collected there. If they're in here, they're collected here. but their headquarters is in the Cayman Islands, and there's no taxes in the Cayman
So
Islands.
the politicians, the originally lawyers, finagled, like with the CEOs, finagled it so that the honest politicians, the progressives, if there's any left, can't go after them and can't make them pay their fair share in taxes because they hide the money, right?
Yep.
So it's all corrupted.
Of course.
Hey, there's your devil's economics.
Bingo.
Hey, that's on the internet too. Check it out. Type in Megalife 21. Go to Google, Megalife 21, the devil's economics, and listen to the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman and the devil's economics. You'll learn something. And also, don't forget to look up the political misuse of Christianity, and of course, the Christmas lie. And it's all there. Censored on demand. All right, continue.
A last-minute compromise produced a truce, but lawmakers said the fight's not over. The Senate voted 86-13 for the measure and will send it to President Obama for his signature. The bill would authorize money for military personnel, weapons systems, the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, and national security programs in the Energy Department for the fiscal year beginning October the 1st. The legislation is $27 billion less than Obama wanted and $43 billion less than Congress gave the Pentagon this year, a reflection of deficit-driven federal budgets. The end of the Iraq War and the drawdown in Afghanistan. In a rare show of bipartisanship, the House voted 283 to 136 for the measure late Wednesday. Senator John McCain of Arizona, the senior Republican on the Armed Services Committee, said Thursday, the cooperation was a little ray of sunshine in a bitterly divided Washington. The comment belied a fierce struggle over provisions on suspected terrorists that have pitted the White House against Congress, divided Republicans and Democrats, and drawn the wrath of civil rights groups. The White House initially threatened to veto the legislation, but dropped that warning, saying last-minute congressional changes no longer challenge the president's ability to prosecute the war on terror. And what that did, I believe that was the Defense Authorization Bill, and that makes Obama a dictator, and that he can take anybody, any American citizen, and call him a terrorist.
Well, I think,
and he can detain him, habeas corpus out the window, etc., etc.
well, I think a Republican politician is more apt to do something like that than a progressive
Don't bet on it.
Democrat.
Don't bet on it.
So
They're all the same.
So the friendly, smiley-faced Barack Obama and his very pleasant, smiley-faced wife, Michelle, Barack Obama would... you trying to say he would stoop to this?
Yeah.
If... Well, maybe
He's a corporatist like everybody else.
Maybe in extreme cases he might stoop to this.
No, not extreme. They don't have to be extreme. That's the whole point. We have a constitution in this country which protects citizens.
Yeah.
These laws are repealing the Constitution.
So, the protesting at Zuccotti
It's no
Park.
longer there. They're trying to occupy another spot today. They're right there now, and Mr. Dictator Bloomberg has his Gestapo out there
Mike Bloomberg, yeah.
occupying the building that the occupiers want to occupy, and the new park,
Yeah.
Trinity Park or something, which is owned by a church.
Michael Bloomberg, the Republican corporatist,
The little despot.
The little despot, the little Napoleon.
Napoleon, yeah.
Okay, she's very short. He's diminutive in size, but not his bank account. That's not diminutive by any stretch of the imagination. He's a little fascist. And the good thing is that the Occupy movement is not only nationwide, but is occurring in some cities outside of the United States. The Occupy movement.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what's good? The Occupy movement in other parts of the country, the protesters are more ferocious. They resort to tougher tactics. Yeah, tougher tactics. I love to see the establishment get roughed up by people that
unfortunately,
are
though, the establishment has all the bazookas. Okay.
Well, maybe the suckers that join the National Guard and the military and the police department need to go AWOL and mutiny on the bounty. Go against the fat cats that pay them.
Ain't going to happen.
Ain't
we
gonna
pay
happen.
them, not the fat cats.
Well, they don't get paid that much anyway, right?
That's correct.
Personnel.
The private contractors get a hell of a lot more.
They don't get paid. Hey, the people that put their lives on the line in Afghanistan don't get paid that much.
No.
But they do it for this propaganda, this mumbo jumbo, the Yankee
They
Doodle
do
dandy.
it for the corporations. Come on.
Corporations, the fat
War
cats.
is a racket. General Smedley Butler.
That's right, the devil's economics. We're going to take a break. The Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman shall partake in his gastronomic delight known as lunch, followed by high green tea. Oh, speaking of high green tea, I was watching a very funny, nostalgic, old TV commercial. You remember High Karate
Yes,
aftershave?
I put caps on High Karate.
Hey, ho! The girl is like, what's that I smell? And she starts attacking and pawing the guy, and the guy starts fending her off, and with karate chops, and he busts the cocktail table. Whack! What? They were so funny. And then, of course, I watched the old Get Smart, episode with the cone of silence, then the portable cone of silence, where the chief couldn't get out of it. And I watched Tennessee Tuxedo, Underdog. I watched Dick Tracy, with Joe Jitsu. Oh, this is a Joe Jitsu calling Dick Tracy. Go-Go Gomez. They were allowed to stereotype back then in cartoons. They could never get away with that crap now, but they did it. Unbelievable. Anyway, we're back. As my partner, my mentor, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman is partaking in his gastronomic delight known as lunch, I will do a little promo. First, I want to mention that even though it's relatively new, even though it occurred weeks ago, I'm very proud that Newsletter Censored and Megalife 21 has a new format for Health Talk and for Censored on Demand and the God Project on Demand. Check it out when the new shows come up. The beginning of the show and the end too. There's commercials at the end. There's promos at the end, a couple of videos and such. And then there's at the beginning, to music, the theme song. Actually, the whole thing is like a new promo, a new format. A new format. We have Censored and God Project on Demand. Just go to Google and type in Megalife 21, or maybe you can just type in Censored on Demand. Okay, or Archive Classics, and you'll find past readings of Newsletter Censored, Archive Classics, and you'll find the God Projects. So if you miss, let's say, the Censored Hard-Hitting Truth show, which is on Thursdays starting at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or if you happen to miss the God Project on our radio station, which is Sundays starting at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can just simply go online and go to Google, type it in, Megalife 21, Censored on Demand, or God Project, whatever on demand, and you can watch the shows as many times as you want. Very convenient. This is the foundation of our entire organization, Newsletter Censored, founded in 1977 by my mentor and partner, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman. It contains the 5 taboos of American life, which is politics, religion, health, human sexuality, and child rearing. It is the kind of information that most people are afraid to hear. Can you handle it? Okay. We are living in the end times. You need Newsletter Censored in the end times. You need Newsletter Censored to learn how to defeat a conservative. Okay, so get it now. Just simply go to newslettercensored.com, click on the printable order form, and with your gift to support this work, get your free annual subscription to Newsletter Censored. Okay, you will also find Dr. Bill for President there. This is his 3rd time as a progressive independent, and he will teach you how to write in a candidate. Dr. Bill will teach you that you can write in a candidate, even though the independents do not get invited to the debates anymore. You can write them in. The newsletter begins with the reading. In this case, it's the last issue is number 117, titled "The Devil's Economics" by William J. Eisenman, Ph.D. Sometimes, if there's room, you'll have tidbits. And in this case, is a special letter from an individual, which Dr. Bill rebuttals. And then we have The God Project by William J. Eisenman, Doctor of Divinity. And this title is Behemoth. And followed by Sexuality, a Holistic Approach by William J. Eisenman, Ph.D. So, it's all there. There's nothing like Newsletter Censored. In the mainstream media or the mainstream press, you will not hear or read anything like Newsletter Censored. All right. I'm doing things a little differently because normally I do the paintings first. So I decided to switch it around. See this gentleman? Right here? Alongside of me. This is a self-portrait of the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman. The Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman is a fine watercolor artist, and this is one of his paintings. You can view the William J. Eisenman collection of fine watercolor art by going to the internet and typing in the William J. Eisenman collection. And if that doesn't come up, type in also Megalife 21, and you will see almost the entire collection to Caribbean steel drum music. And you can also see the collection at the William J. Eisenman Facebook profile, or you can go to newslettercensored.com and almost, more or less, see the William J. Eisenman collection. If there is a painting that you like, email him, and the bidding usually starts at $500 each. But, you know, you can make a gift. If somebody makes a gift to acquire one of your paintings that is above and beyond, that is higher than the standard gift for the painting,
gifts are accepted.
Would that get them a free annual subscription?
Oh, yeah.
A free annual subscription to Newsletter Censored? So if they threw in an extra gift to support this work, along with the painting that they want, they will get the painting signed, painted and signed by William J. Eisenman, Ph.D., and they will get their free annual subscription to Newsletter Censored.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the best way to join our organization and be a part of our organization, to go to newslettercensored.com. But, you know, life is mostly common sense. You know, the proof is in the pudding. I don't understand how after 8 years of G.W. Bush and Dick Cheney and all the damage that was done in many ways, you know, economically, and with the war, many people lost their sons and daughters, or these young people got their legs blown off and half their head blown off, and meanwhile Osama bin Laden was at that time hiding out somewhere else in Pakistan supposedly, and with the Iraq war, being that it was war profiteering and oil companies and all the damage the Bush administration did, regardless of what conservative politicians tell you about it. Despite all this, the American people listen to the bombardment of, obviously the media is not liberal, because if they were liberal, you would hear both sides of the story. But apparently with the media in America, you heard too much from the Republicans. And what you did was you got suckered and you believed the lies and you voted for a Republican Congress in November of last year. That was November 2010, right? Okay. You voted against your best interest. Because if you're middle class or lower middle class or poor, voting for a Republican is not in your best interest. They're all for the rich. I'm telling you right now, they're all for the rich. But maybe, and I'm going to take a wild guess, and of course Dr. Bill will correct me, because this is progressive discussions, maybe these lemmings, these lower income lemmings, voted for a Republican Congress throughout America because these lemmings might have been from the red state, redneck, Bible Belt states of the United States, where there are religious nuts, where there are right-wing fundamentalists that don't care about a roof over their head and food on the table. They care about their religious ideology, their holy roller crazy ideas, and based on that they voted Republican last November. You think that is a theory that holds water?
They do it all the time.
But is it a theory that holds water?
Some 28% of the Republican Party
Excuse me.
are considered evangelical fundamentalist Christians who vote on social issues only.
Like anti-gay marriage, anti-stem cell research,
Anti-abortion,
yeah,
anti-secularism,
yeah, pro-life, and all this jazz. Like life begins at conception. They think it's a human being. If a fertilized egg is a human being, all this crap. Paralyzed people should go on suffering.
They should pray.
They should pray, but no stem cell.
Just like women who suffer from PMS should pray.
So the young man that received, I believe he received a kidney. I think it was a kidney that was grown in a laboratory from one of his stem cells. He should have died, and he should have sucked it up and dropped dead, and not gotten the kidney through stem cell research. Is this how Republicans think, that are in this crazy evangelical religious nut, holy roller ideology?
Frankly, I don't know whether that was an experiment or he had decent or good health insurance. But they certainly don't want him to have that good health insurance.
I'm going to take a wild guess and say you need to pay a lot of moolah for a freshly grown laboratory stem cell research organ.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a wild guess and say only people with bucks can save their son's or daughter's life and get them that organ, or an adult.
It's all set up that way, yes.
Yeah. In other words, God's economics is definitely not set up in the world today.
No way.
Because if it was set up that way, everybody would have the right to 100% adequate health care and a free grammar school, high school, and college education. Anybody living in a free democracy.
Education is crucial
Free.
in our country.
A poor child in the ghetto that has a high IQ and is academically
Challenged
what do you no challenge? That means he's
from the outside.
he doesn't have a good education.
No, he's challenged from the outside.
You mean he's held back? He's oppressed?
Held back.
Yeah, like if a child is an exceptional student and he's dirt poor or she's dirt poor,
He will not live up to his potential.
that child should get a free, complete, including college, university education in a fair capitalist democracy, like similar to what Europe has, in a fair system with God's economics installed. That kid deserves, and people deserve to retire in security. They should have a secure retirement with their needs met, and not, people that are 70 years old or whatever, 65, 70, 75, they should not have to get a part-time job like people probably do in Florida. They should have a happy retirement. Everybody's entitled. It's a right to good health care. And if you need a kidney, you need a stem cell grown organ, you should get that. And if you, like I said, you want to go to a university, if you qualify, you're poor, you should go to college. And that's that. Just like an athlete gets a scholarship if he or she is exceptional. And guess what? I know what you Republicans are saying right now. Duh, who's going to pay for it? I'll give you one guess. You stingy, greedy fat cats are going to pay for it. That is a fair democracy in action.
That's how the system was
You
set up in
greedy bastards
1913.
are going to pay
Those
for
who
it.
have the money pay the taxes.
Hey man, if you're a multi-millionaire or billionaire, and I'm talking to you, Chris Christie, and your rich friends, yeah, you should pay for the little poor kids that qualify for college. They shouldn't have to pay for college. They shouldn't have to pay. Americans, low income and middle class Americans, should not have to pay out of pocket for their health care. It's ridiculous. Everything has got to be about profit and greed, according to these Republicans.
Well, Republicans do not want the government to do anything for anybody except the big boys.
Except bail out the big boys when they want to bail out.
That's correct. Let them play their little monopoly games with our money, and if they happen to make a few mistakes, we can bail them out.
So it's all
Because they're too big to fail.
So it's all about selfishness and greed and corruption.
It's all the devil's economics.
It's idolatry. These people are scumbags. They are. All right, next article.
I am tired of hearing the Republicans' false claim that raising taxes on the wealthy prevents them from creating jobs. It is a good thing none of these politicians are running a business, because no business person makes a decision to hire based on changes to their personal marginal tax rates. Hiring is based solely on whether that new hire will increase revenue. What increases revenue is demand
We were saying that
for a
last week.
company's products or services.
We were saying that last week.
It never changes.
Only demand creates jobs, not cutting taxes on the rich.
What drives demand are products that consumers want or need and their ability to afford them. We had amazing growth when the wealth and income distribution was not so extremely weighted to the top 1%, and the middle class had disposable income, allowing them to consume. If tax cuts create jobs, and if the wealthy need more wealth to create jobs, then why, with the Bush tax cuts and the top 1% having more control of wealth than ever, have jobs not been created?
You should save this article. If you have gold stars like the grammar school teacher used to use, you should put it on this article. This article's great.
There is no job creation because unregulated free market capitalism's goal is only to accumulate more personal wealth, never to create jobs.
You've been lied to. See, this proves you've been lied to. You Tea Party lemmings.
Economics in a free market system is a zero-sum game where someone wins and someone has to lose. It's only when there is a balancing force in the market like government or unions that an economy thrives.
Beautiful. Man, I really dig this article. I really dig it.
Economists paint rosy scenarios on the changing economy. They are employed. Congress does nothing constructive to remedy the situation. They are employed.
Yeah.
Reporters and pundits write about, excuse me, and expound on congressional fights about the mundane. They are employed. I am not employed. I have watched my income, small as it is, shrink in respect to my cost of living. Next year, I will not be doing much, if anything, in charitable giving. My discretionary income has turned to dust, a fond memory. Now I struggle to make ends meet. The necessities of life have become primary in all my thoughts of spending. Congress can talk all they want, but it is what they do that matters. Rather than fix the situation one step at a time, one party adds something extraneous that the other party will not accept. This causes nothing to get done. While they plot obstructive behavior in the congressional dining room, we the people suffer. They can talk all they want, but without remedy, their record will defeat them, not the opposing party.
Outstanding article. It hits the nail on the head. Raw nerve.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Ooh,
Right?
nerve.
That.
Well, it puts everything, in perspective, instead of the propaganda that you constantly hear from the other side.
That's right.
That's what blasts on television all the time. We can't get taxes on the wealthy. There's a job creators.
Job creator, my ass, and people believe it. They believe it. Idiots, Americans. I swear, very gullible.
When Governor Christie took to the lectern at a press conference on Thursday,
He ate up all the food that was there.
that was before all the hors d'oeuvres he ate up.
I'm sure he put a big funnel in his mouth, like the funnel that you would use on a tractor trailer, and he shoved all the hors d'oeuvres into the funnel.
He delivered a signature tongue lashing that accused State Senator Richard Cody and others of using parliamentary tactics to hold up the approval of his appointment for Education Commissioner.
Is that an appointment that will make teachers not want to be teachers and work for shit wages?
Yes.
With
Of course,
with
because
crappy benefits.
Christie hates public education.
But Chris Christie, I'm sure, lives the good life.
His two kids go to Catholic school.
But I'm sure they all live high on the hog. No pun intended.
No,
Chris
there's pun intended.
Yeah, Chris Christie living high on the hog. Suey. Okay.
Cody, Democrat Essex County, called the governor's accusations a lie
And this is not Buffalo Bill Cody.
and said he should apologize, though he wasn't going to hold his breath.
He won't apologize. I think somebody with a louder, who can scream louder in state senate should really give Chris Christie a tongue lashing. I could scream much louder than Chris Christie if I was in politics. He wouldn't stand a chance against me.
The Christie administration delivered its rebuttal on Monday, but it was not an apology. Cody was notified by the state police on Monday that he will no longer be afforded a security detail. This Mr. Revenge?
Spite?
Mr. Spite?
Vindictive?
Vindictive?
By law, is he entitled to that?
I guess the governor can do what he wants to do.
The governor's not above the
Remember,
law. The governor's not above the law.
Mr. Cody
Was he a dictator?
was acting governor. This is no run-of-the-mill legislator.
Oh, no, he's a heavy
Man
hitter.
has been there.
He's a heavy hitter.
That's correct.
And if anybody was to run in the Democratic Party for New Jersey governor, I would say Cody would be an outstanding.
Unfortunately, he doesn't want to do that.
He doesn't want to do that?
No. He had his chance.
Well, he had his chance. Well, he try it again.
No, he didn't try at all. He doesn't want to.
He doesn't want the job.
Right.
But he would. But he wanted to be in the state senate.
Well, he likes being a senator, I guess. I mean, he had the job for a while, so he knows what it's like.
I mean, all you do is you basically make the same decisions as a governor that you would as a state senator, more or less, right? You just make decisions. You weigh out the
senators make law. You know, they make the laws. The governor only enforces them.
Yeah.
He
Well, the
doesn't
governor.
make law.
Oh, so in other words,
Just like President Obama.
the Senate.
He don't make law.
Okay.
Anyway, the security detail, which he has relied on occasionally at public appearances since he left the governor's office in 2006, said sources who requested anonymity because they weren't authorized to discuss the actions. That same day, Lawrence DiMarzo was fired from his $107,406 job as Deputy Director at the Division of Consumer Affairs. DiMarzo is a longtime friend of Cody's and once served as his Deputy Chief of Staff while he was governor. Christie also announced on Monday that he was sending Attorney General Paula Dow to the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey on a temporary assignment to help rein in abuse. She is replacing Christopher Hartwick, who was stepping down from his $215,000 position as deputy counsel at the authority. Hartwick is Cody's cousin. Neither Cody's nor Christie's office would comment on the moves and whether they were related to their public spat. Some Democrats say the Republican governor's actions were obvious. I've known Mr. DiMarzo and Mr. Hartwick to be the finest public servants the state has to offer, said Assemblyman John McKeon of Democrat Essex County, a close ally of Cody. It's abhorrent that the governor would hurt them and their families to settle a political score. Assemblyman John Wisniewski, Democrat Middlesex County, who also serves as the chairman of the Democratic State Committee, said the actions display the governor's lack of understanding of the democratic process, which calls for power sharing and compromise. When Christie doesn't get his way, he stomps his feet and terminates people just to show he's the boss.
He's a bully. He's a political bully, and and because he's fat, you know, he reminds me of. I like high quality, high end buffets, as opposed to a sit down dinner where you get a tiny little, portion. Like Iron Chef America, this what is it they call it? Fusion gourmet crap. All artistic designs. I like a lot of food. I work out hard. I'm a big guy. You know, I like a good meal. You know, I like to get filled up. Well, sometimes when I go to a good buffet, these obese people that stand next to me waiting with the dish in their hand, they're a little pushy. It's almost like they're afraid the food is going to disappear. That's what Christy reminds me of, the glutton. The glutton who is freaking out because they think they're not going to eat at the buffet. Interesting.
Christie spokesman Michael Druniak said only that Wisniewski is clueless. Hartwig joined the Port Authority in 2002 under then Governor James McGreevey. He told the New York Times on Monday that now is the right time for me to move on to other professional opportunities. DiMarzo, who did not return phone calls seeking comment, moved to Consumer Affairs in 2006 and once served as acting director of the unit. Cody, who served 14 months as governor after McGreevey resigned, was provided a security detail because of his unique position as former governor and active lawmaker, the state police said. Bully, bully, bully for you. Bully, bully.
Bully, bully.
Bully, bully.
Bully, 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 bully. Remember that song? Who sang that?
Sam the Sham and the Pharaohs. An intermittent
Sam the Sham and the Pharaohs.
An intermittent low-carb diet could be better than a standard low-calorie Mediterranean diet for weight loss and lowering insulin, a study finds.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Low-carb diets have been shown in a number of studies to be superior to regular low-calorie diets for various weight health outcomes. But they are notoriously difficult to stick to for a number of people. In this study, researchers followed 115 women who had a family history of breast cancer for 4 months as they were assigned to one of 3 diet programs. One was a very calorie-restricted 650 calorie diet a day, a low-carb diet for 2 days a week, and one was a low-carb diet in which participants could eat unlimited amounts of protein and healthy fats for 2 days a week. And the last was a standard 1,500 calorie per day Mediterranean diet followed every day. Both of the low-carb diets beat the Mediterranean diet for lowering weight and improving insulin resistance. Women in the low-carb groups lost an average of about 9 pounds, compared to about 5 pounds in the Mediterranean diet group. Insulin resistance dropped an average of 22% in the calorie-restricted low-carb group, 14% in the all-you-can-eat low-carb group, and 4% in the Mediterranean diet group. Weight loss and reduced insulin levels are required for breast cancer prevention, but these levels are difficult to achieve and maintain with conventional dietary approaches. The study was presented recently at the Cancer Therapy and Research Center American Association for Cancer Research San Antonio Breast Cancer Symposium.
Well, that's the only way. Controlling your insulin and blood sugar, you know, and stabilizing your blood sugar so you don't having a healthy, normal pancreas and insulin production. That's the only way to stay lean at a proper weight. Not the calorie restriction, the yo-yo syndrome, calorie in, calorie out. Even though it does play a role, you know, to a certain degree. You know, you got to go high protein, high good fats, and low carb, no sugar. You gotta do Atkins basically. You know, the Atkins diet is very similar to the original ancient man diet. What do they call it? The
Caveman.
Paleolithic. Yeah. Yeah, it's the only way to go. Of course, you got to learn how to eat properly. You have to get off the poison, the toxic poison sold in supermarkets by the American food industry. So, what else do we got there?
Recent letter writers are fond of criticizing President Obama for his class warfare rhetoric. They cherry-pick statistics indicating that the rich pay a large portion of all taxes,
What?
while the poor pay relatively little.
Lies.
No, that's the truth. The rich pay proportion more taxes.
Oh, compared to
the poor
the
don't
poor.
have any money.
Compared to the poor. Now, what about
Yeah.
the middle class?
No, the middle class is all spread around and pays more.
Yeah.
But the poor don't pay that much, so they always use that. But they don't pay that much because they don't make it.
How are they going to pay if they don't make it?
If they don't have the wages to make the money, they don't pay the taxes.
Right.
Because that's how the system is set up in 1913.
How the fuck?
Those who have the money have to pay.
Yeah, why should the people who have nothing, who ain't got anything, pay if they don't have it to pay? They don't make it and they don't have it.
Well, Republicans want them to, they want to squeeze them even more.
Well, they'll squeeze them out of existence.
That's what they want to do. All the resources for them.
So they're
The poor are sucking up resources.
Didn't you do a censored on demand called something about waging the war against the poor, the conservative war against the
yeah.
poor?
Of course.
The conservative war against the poor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't want them to vote. They don't want them to live. They don't want them to eat. They don't want them to decide. They don't want to get wages. They don't want them around. You don't think that behind this new defense authorization crap, that the president can call anybody a terrorist? Don't you think behind that is a way to get rid of them too? You know, the Occupy Wall Street people are terrorists.
You mean so-called undesirables?
They're undesirable to whom?
To
those in power.
To the evil, greedy fat cats.
Yeah.
Sounds like fascism to me.
Yeah. Fascism. The marriage of the corporation to the state. Totalitarianism is the rule of the powerful.
Only complete total rule.
Well, who else is going to rule?
You mean like when the King of England during Robin Hood's days said that the people are not allowed to hunt in the king's forest?
Yeah, when he was the big boss.
Right.
Before Parliament.
So if
Parliament dissipated the king's power.
So if you were poor and you shot a deer with a bow and arrow,
it was the king's deer.
That was the king's deer, even though it was like God's deer. You know, a wild deer. That goes back to what you were saying. The Earth's natural resources and wealth belong to God. They don't belong to people.
Right.
They don't belong to the fat cats. Even though the fat cats feel that they can, through extortion, I guess, through
it's
their
the
money.
Same thing. The Republican, conservative, right-wingers, they all believe that we are supposed to pull ourselves up by the bootstraps.
Right.
We are supposed to be independent and depend on ourselves, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah, right.
But in the new censored, without natural affection, I point out very clearly that in the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve were provided anything they wanted, and they had everything in the garden that they could need. And God just loved, as any father would, to be called upon to help them in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
However,
originally, yeah.
yes, but however,
sounds very progressive liberal to me.
However,
The Garden of Eden, the way it was supposed to be.
when they took it upon themselves to know good from evil, and then they were cast out of the garden, then came this concept of work as drudgery, as the need to till the land or kill the bar to survive.
And to gather firewood and every damn day, and to everything you do today, that's really a drag. That's work. That's a hassle.
That attitude.
Disease. Cold. I'm freezing to death. I'm sick.
That attitude
Yeah.
is clearly exhibited in the conservative right-winger, because he believes that work should be done by the lower classes, and the upper classes do not work because it is drudgery.
Oh, like the
It is
poor,
drudgery.
like the poor Mexican immigrants, like the illegals. They. Or what about what Newt Gingrich said about African American children from poor neighborhoods, from the ghetto? He wants to put them to work, to clean toilet bowls and sweep the floor for their stinking little crumbs that they get from welfare.
And
Fuck Newt.
that way they can put their father janitors out of work, and that's less to a public sector union, because it's all about breaking the unions.
It's just like corporate America. You interview people that work in retail, and they always try this. They try to, when they make the work schedule, they try to put less people on during that shift. And I know why they do it. They do this once in a while. They try to see if the people will be sucker enough, will be stupid enough to kill themselves and do the same job with less people scheduled that shift. So if normally there's 5 people in the department, they'll see if 3 people can do it.
Yeah, and then they can get away with that.
And then if the
Get
3 people can do it and they kill themselves, they'll never put the other 5 people, the other 2 people, I'm sorry, back on the schedule.
Right.
They continue to find ways to make more money and save money, which leads into making more money. It's greed.
And in doing so, they rob money from down below.
And the salaries are going down because the companies can get away with it, because they use the economy and the lack of a job market as an excuse to pay you less and less. So, I mean, the whole concept of rolling out of bed 5 days a week, early in the morning, to make a lousy minimum wage. I mean, people must be very grouchy and must really hate their job and hate their boss and hate their life.
The whole true concept has been turned on its head. What is supposed to be the attitude is that the corporation, the business, is supposed to want you to work for them. But no, it is turned around. We need to work for them.
Need. Not want. Need. Because of survival, you mean. And you know what? People need, human beings need an incentive to go that extra mile. So if corporations want complete dedication and they want hard work, you're not going to get it from giving people minimum wage or slave wages.
Well, as we said last week, that's the problem with the capitalist system. Problem is that the boss will never and can never pay the worker his true worth, or he wouldn't make any money.
You mean his true worth that is equal to the rising cost of living, that is applicable to the rising cost of living?
Let's say the boss pays you $20 an hour.
Not that
Pays
bad.
you $20 an hour. You better be making 40 or 60 or 80 bucks for the boss, or he's not going to hire you at that rate. That's the point.
Now, does this have to do what you said before about demand?
No.
Or that's just
Demand is what makes it. If I start a company tomorrow and I put out a product,
and you need to hire new people.
well, I'm not ready to hire anybody yet because I have no demand
There's no demand.
for the product. I gotta have demand for the product. I gotta be selling product. You were selling shower heads.
Yeah, way back
what
when.
Piecemeal. One here, one there, one here.
Yeah.
That wasn't demand enough to hire people.
No, they sold, but they didn't sell like hotcakes. I couldn't. If they sold like hotcakes, I would have to hire people.
That's correct. You would have to hire a secretary. You would have to hire somebody to package. You would have had to hire all the other.
So that's a perfect example of demand being directly responsible for the creation of jobs.
Correct.
For maintaining a job market, you must have demand.
Right.
Otherwise,
And we ain't got demand if we keep buying things from other countries.
but you see the way they arrange it, people can't afford to keep the money and the shopping in the United States of America. People can't afford it, so therefore they go online, they go to eBay, they go to Google Shopping or however they do it, and they buy products made overseas because they simply do not have the money to buy the American-made product. But the fat cats have caused this dilemma.
That's right. They've captured that market.
They force you to have to do that.
And the bigger they are, the more they get away with it. Because there's no competition.
Do you think they had many years to concoct this devious scheme that they have concocted?
Of course they do. They hold business roundtables. You got ALEC, the businesses that lobby the Congress people and etc. to get their ideas into law.
Is this
not yours?
Is this the same thing that Goldman Sachs did? Have these roundtable meetings in private and just think of sleazy, ill-gotten ways to
They're always thinking
set the system up?
of products that they can make and use to make more profit.
So the haves,
The derivatives,
the haves,
the CDOs,
the haves want to be bigger and fatter haves,
they want to have more.
and the have-nots is a nuisance to them.
Yeah, except for being a consumer.
Being a consumer.
Yeah.
But in order to be a
You
consumer,
need money. That part of the equation they leave out.
you need money to buy their products. So if they're so anti-little guy, the more anti-little guy the fat cats are, the less spending money the little guy has. So then, ipso facto ergo, where is the little guy going to get his or her spending money if they don't have a job and they're living in a fucking tent?
Well, that's why they want markets around the world. Because eventually the day is coming, as they see it and as they are promulgating it, where the United States consumer won't be anymore.
No.
Because we will be a third world nation, like maybe Africa.
Well, isn't corporate greed also responsible for the destruction of the rainforest and the environment and pollution of the water and global warming?
Yeah.
So the what's
They wanna-
what's the old saying? They're cutting off their nose
Spite the
to
face.
spite their face. They're
Well-
penny wise and pound foolish. If they destroy the planet and they destroy man's existence, and the little guy, the consumer, has no money to buy their product, then therefore they are shooting themselves in both feet.
Yeah, but in the short term, they are making huge profits.
So
that's what's concerning.
So they just care about short term.
That's correct. They go from quarter to quarter.
They only care about the quarter every 3 months.
That's correct.
For those of you out there that are like every 3 months, that's all they care about. They don't think ahead. They don't think long term.
They don't even think in terms of a country, because they don't give a damn about a country.
But
they are countryless. They are nationless.
But they're in reality, they're very unpatriotic and very anti-American. But the politicians that set up their system are always waving the flag, are always doing the Yankee Doodle Dandy patriotic propaganda, and unfortunately, hey, if you destroy your consumer and you outsource jobs and you don't pay your fair share in taxes, that doesn't sound patriotic to me.
It sounds like a very good plan to destroy the country.
Yeah.
And that's what it is.
You heard it from Progressive Discussions, the underground media, Megalife 21, and Newsletter Censored, founded in 1977 by my partner here. Don't forget, get that free annual subscription with your gift to support this work. This is hard-hitting truth, man. Right now, Health Talk is playing on the radio station, and you can find the link to the radio station at the top of newslettercensored.com, and also from our Newsletter Censored Facebook profile, which is open to the public. You do not have to be a member of Facebook or log in to view it. All the links are there. So anyway, that wraps it up. Oh, is there?
We've got to finish this.
Let's finish the article.
What they failed to state, according to the Nonpartisan Tax Policy Center, is that of the 238,000 American households with taxable incomes over $1 million, 1 in 10 pay less than 15% in taxes, and about 7,000 pay no income taxes at all. And since 1970, income inequality in the United States has soared. No one begrudges anyone from succeeding. But at a time when our budget deficit is huge, the wealthy are being asked to contribute more after receiving numerous tax breaks during the last 30 years. That's just what Ronald Reagan asked when he ran for president in 1980. No, this is... Okay, that's about it.
That's about it?
That's it.
Now, when you go to newslettercensored.com and the Facebook promo page for Newsletter Censored, you will see the biblical verses that support and prove that the ideology and the policies of the conservative Republicans are not of the God of the Bible. They are the devil's economics, and it proves it. See, this is one thing about progressives. They come up with hard, concrete evidence, as opposed to the crazy ideology.
Ideology.
Faith-based, yeah.
Of the other side.
Yeah. Hey, wait a minute. Wasn't there, I don't know if you saw it, but there was a video showing Rick Perry, Scary Perry, right-wing fundamentalist nut, governor of Texas, bashing gays or saying very anti-gay things, anti-gay propaganda.
Well, he's trying to win that Iowa, and you have to proclaim yourself as a good Christian to win in Iowa.
So even though Iowa is in the northern Midwest or central, it is not part of the original Confederacy. They are
red.
They are red. So they are right-wing fundamentalist Bible Belt, even though they are not technically in the
Bible Belt.
Bible Belt. So what about Nebraska? All those states, Kansas, are they?
They all have a huge
They're red.
right-wing leaning.
So what you're saying is any part of America that is rural or semi-rural always tends to be
Midwestern.
more Republican, more
Right.
red, because they have so much time on their hands.
They have this idea that Republicans are for freedom, individualism, the little guy, etc., and of course the religious.
But how come they're not exposed to the truths that make certain Americans progressive and not?
Because they
Conservative.
are exposed to those truths. But as God shows you in the Bible, He had to kill. He had to kill by flood people once on the face of the earth because they won't change their minds.
So what you're saying is people from the red states are more easy to deceive than the sharp cookies from the big cities that are progressive?
Well, everyone is easy to deceive. The
Yeah.
point is that when you hold an ideology, when you say, I am a Christian and I believe in an immortal soul
That flies out of your body when you die.
that flies out of your body when you die,
And they believe in the Dante's Inferno version of
and I
hell.
believe in hell and heaven, and you come around,
And the rapture?
and the rapture, and you come around and you show them from the Bible, which they proclaim is their handbook,
Sure.
that those things are not in there, and that Jesus never celebrated Christmas or Easter,
Or anybody's birthday.
or nobody knows his birthday, they still say, well, but that's not what it means to me.
It's not what you think. It's what is. It's what is in the Bible. Not what you think is in the Bible. It's not
Well,
about you.
They have made God in their image, and so that's what prevails,
Ah,
you see.
they have done that. And
Preach unto me smooth things,
or soft
not
things.
hard things.
Prove all things, hold fast that which is good, Thessalonians.
You got all of these things. You got all of these things for the poor.
Yeah.
Against what he who oppresses the poor to increase his riches, and he who gives to the rich. You have these
Shall
things
surely
spelled
come to
out
want.
plainly. Spelled out plainly. You can't get any more plain,
Yeah.
and yet you still have these idiots who say, "But that's not what it means to me."
Screw what it means to you. It's what it is. Read it. What is it? He who is has faith will be abound with blessings, and whoever makes haste to be rich shall not be innocent. That's another one, another gem.
Yes, they're all over the place, but they
All
turn
over.
them around. They twist and they wrest them to agree with their idea.
What about the book of John, I believe, where the rich person says to Jesus, how do I get into
Same
heaven?
thing.
Sell all your personal property and give it to the poor and follow me. And the rich person could not do that.
No.
That's another great story that proves that the God of the Bible is not a conservative Republican.
Well, he's not political at all.
No, he's not political.
Politics is pathological,
But-
as Wilhelm Reich has said many times.
But the devil's economics is much closer to the ideology of Republicans than
They
it is
follow it very clearly.
right than it is to a progressive liberal individual. You know,
But they have their enablers in so-called Democrats. So there again, you have politics.
sold out, paid
But
off.
it's really human nature that is the problem.
The human nature is really extremely vile and despicable. I mean, just take somebody who does evil things with no remorse. That sounds evil to me.
Like John Boehner?
Eric
Eric Cantor?
any evil thing where children are suffering or starving or dying or being killed, and poor people, no compassion for the poor, no remorse shown, to me that's of Satan. You know, Chris Christie, the ample, portly, obviously with a huge appetite, Chris Crisco Christie, closing food pantries in New Jersey. Meanwhile, his grocery bill is completely unaffected, and he has no remorse for doing that, man. Hey, that's pretty low, you know. And
How low can you go?
How low can you go, man? Like I said last time, the way to solve America's energy issues is to simply hook up every house and every
generator,
every building and every office building and every factory to Christie's refrigerator. That was the joke last week, and so I said it again.
There we go.
Thank you for joining us for this week's Progressive Discussions. We'll see you next time. Say so long to the people.
So long to the people.